Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends, and good morning to the audience who have joined online. So we are having this session jointly organized by ISA and FCSCI is aimed at deliberating the pathway for energy transition in the Commonwealth countries and role of ISA Corporate Advisory Group. The Commonwealth 56 countries make up a quarter of the world's landmass and a population of about 2.4 billion people. Out of 7.4 billion people globally, the fossil fuels are still a major source of electric power in the Commonwealth. Contributing an average 65 to 75% in the total energy mix. Energy transition among the Commonwealth countries is shared responsibility and drive this transition. The concept of Federation of Commonwealth Sustainable Energy Industries has been evolved. National Solar Energy Federation of India, REA, UK, Renewable Energy Association of Sierra Leone, Kenya, Renewable Energy Association, Tanzania, Renewable Energy Association, Mauritius Renewable Energy Agency, Energy Private Developers Rwanda have joined hands for the initiative of Federation of Commonwealth Sustainable Energy Industries to fulfill global targets and especially that of Commonwealth countries to increase their renewable energy portfolio while actively decarbonizing end-use sector application of industry. International Solar Alliance, as you all aware, is a 110 signatory country organization, which was conceptualized on the sidelines of 21st Conference of Parties to the UNFCCC held in Paris in 2015. ISA has launched a corporate advisory group in September 2022 at the sidelines of Clean Energy Ministerial in Pittsburgh, USA, in the presence of US Department of Energy, World Solar corporate leaders. This group will work together, decreasing the dependency on fossil fuels and encourage solar power utilization throughout the global community, particularly in least developed countries and small island developing countries. I am happy to call and I request Mr. Pranav Mehta, Chairman, National Solar Energy Federation of India, International Solar Alliance Corporate Advisory Group, to please chair the whole session. Sir, please welcome.
Thank you, Shishir, for the nice background and introduction. Thank you, Shishir, for all your words. At the outset, we must thank the International Solar Alliance, which has enabled our program here today and brought us all together here. And I'm fortunate to chair the International Solar Alliance Corporate Advisory Group, because private sector has a very important role to play with the governments so that appropriate policies are formed. As is already evident in India, that we have played a proactive role in policy formation. And India has grown from 0 to 60,000 megawatts, which placed in top 5 of the world. And therefore, people want to learn from India. I will throw some light through slides, but I was invited in the last 3 years by 18 countries, Qatar, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and so many countries. So that, and Germany has been our great partner. David was to be here, he's not here, but we are working a lot together. And I am pleased to welcome Nina CBE from UK and CEO of REA. I think REA is fortunate to have her as the CEO, and whatever little interaction I had in the morning, I'm sure that she will be able to really, she's steering already REA, but we want to do something in the Commonwealth countries. And UK is the place where Commonwealth is, their secretariat is there. And we want to all bring together, you know, our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi's slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, because nobody alone can do everything. We have to all come together. Now, I will quickly run through some slides in this connection. So can we have those slides, please? So, today we are going to discuss, as you know, how to accelerate the renewable energy proliferation. Because proliferation is the correct word, because growth alone is not everything. We should spread it across. That is the most important idea behind. So all these, let us have a look at which countries we are looking at. Next slide. So these are the Commonwealth countries. You can see how far they are situated. Latin America, Africa, Indian region, that is including Bangladesh, Pakistan, all our neighbors, and also Australia, New Zealand, Singapore. They are all part of us. These 56 countries, as was earlier pointed out, 2/3 of the world population lives, and I always go for per capita energy consumption. So when people are there, energy is needed. And actually, energy is a big enabler. I always say in all these events that all our action, we have to see through the lens of UN Sustainable Development Goals. One of the goals, 7, is energy. And as I say, energy is a great enabler. It poverty alleviation, water, agriculture, everything is facilitated through energy. And it is better that is sustainable energy. And we avoid, as was pointed out, 75% is average fossil fuel consumption. In India, where we have gone from 0 to now top 5, still in my presentations, I always accede to the fact that India, even in 2050, I am out and out a solar man. I don't talk of anything else. I will be very happy coal plants are closed down, but it is not easy. India has no go as per the projections. Mr. Lalit Bora will also know that our Niti Aayog and everybody has predicted that 2050 also will be dependent on coal for 45% of our needs. And this I had stated in presence of Anil Kakotkar, the great atomic man. So we all have to really ponder that how do we come out of this conundrum? And that is what we should do, at least when some people are starting new. In fact, when I took over as the ISA Corporate Council Chairman at Pittsburgh, my key sentence, even in Global Solar Council, where Mete is also present here, which we formed at Paris, this Global Solar Council, in 2015, when ISA was also formed. We private sector came together. I was co-chairman, and also Europe was chairman. China was also co-chairman. So in short, ever since then, we have been wondering how best we proliferate. And I am happy that we are now concentrating on a block of these 56 countries, led by, of course, UK. And we were also part of Commonwealth. So we are still a part of Commonwealth, and we are very happy. So we'll be addressing the needs of these countries. I had at that time said that my heart goes out to the energy have-nots. We are all very happy. We have all the electricity, air conditioning, heater, etc. in our house. But there are people who have no access whatsoever to electricity. If combined corporate entrepreneurship, government, if we are not able to address that, we have not lived. It is not proper. So we have to really work for these people, and they are in Commonwealth. So let us do that. Nina, I'll be very happy. We can sign an MOU to work together, my own Indian Federation, and your REA. So I am very happy to welcome Kartikeya Sarabhai, the illustrious person in the field of Center for Environment Education. Needless to mention, he is the son of illustrious son of India, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. He is also Padma Shri as much as Nina is CBE. So one of the highest civilian award winners, and will be here happy to hear their views. And Mate represents the Global Solar Council. He's at Brussels and very young and dynamic. So I was past chairman of Global Solar Council. I'm very happy that it is going in the right hands. And we have undergone the trials and tribulations of growth in Global Solar Council. We are still undergoing that. I hope he will steer the next phase of Global Solar Council very well. And also this Commonwealth, whatever 56 block we are talking, Global Solar Council also, we would like to join hands. And I will welcome comments from all the people here on the dais. Also, I must acknowledge the presence of at least 2 persons, 3 persons from the audience. One is Mr. Lalit Bora, Joint Secretary, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. And I would very much like him to come here on the stage and say a few words. Please come on the dais, sir, because they are steering India's new and renewable energy. And you know, under Prime Minister Modi's guidance and drive, India has very ambitious target, and we are all joining hands. India is a typical example, as we have said, that join hands worldwide to achieve these sustainable energy goals. So we can go to the next slide quickly, some 2-3 slides, just to remember facts. This I am skipping. India, we always had 12 Surya as God. And one of them also says that Mitra Enama. So solar is our friend. When you are in need, you go to a friend. So like that, 12 mantras, we start our day with this 12 mantra solar. Surya mantra. Next slide. So there are exercises related to this solar. That is how we start our day. Yeah? You can see that how our health can improve through this solar 12 Surya Namaskar, as we call it, Surya Namaskars. And that was traditionally the things. In this context, I would like to mention that in my house, there is no washing machine or drying machine. We use solar energy for drying our clothes. So we don't use detergent, we don't use anything, any electricity for drying our clothes. Next slide. These are top 10 solar power countries. You can see that only India and of late Australia is also coming up, but Australia is at 19 gigawatts. India is at nearly 60 gigawatts today. There is no other Commonwealth country in this. So India is one of the strong Commonwealth countries as far as solar is concerned. And I can easily say that India is a leader. That is how I have been invited to all these countries. Next. As far as wind is concerned, China is always the top, whether in solar or in wind. So we have to accede to that particular point. George Lee is here, and of course he is representing REA and not China, but still I would say that we have to say hats off to China as far as renewable energy is concerned, and we have to learn from China. I openly say that. Let us not do anything else to China. China are my good friends. I have shown him all the slides. Then also here you can see that United Kingdom is there. Then India, of course, is there as number 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5 position. And then UK is there on 7th position, and Brazil is there, one of the Commonwealth countries, that Latin America. Canada is there, one of the Commonwealth countries. So in wind, we do have some Commonwealth, but all said and done, we all have to make sure that some more countries can join from the Commonwealth, 56 countries into that. We should join hands to do that. With that, I will invite Nina first to, because we have, see, UK present here, we have Europe present here, that is Mete, we have India present here in a big way, that is Kartikeya, and also our Joint Secretary, Mr. Lalit Bora. We have international presence here, and Nina, I would like you to say a few words.
Well, good morning, everybody. And I feel very honored to be standing here representing the UK, but also as the Chief Executive of the REA. And just a few words about the REA for those who don't know us. We are the largest trade association for renewable energy and clean technology in the United Kingdom, with over 550 member organizations. And these are the organizations that I call are the game changers. They are the ones who are making industry, home, communities become more decarbonized in the UK. I'm very happy to join this Commonwealth event where we want to jointly, as we say, reach out and hold hands to deliver sustainable energy for all. This morning I heard that we have now gone past 8 billion people living on this planet. And that also, to our real sadness, that we've now increased by a further 20 million people or homes that do not enjoy access to electricity. So from 750 million, this has now risen in this year to 775 million. So we have a job to do, and many of those people who need to be able to enjoy a modern life, we can help through the Commonwealth arrangements for our countries, and with hands over to our colleagues in the rest of Europe too, to deliver this sustainable future. Now, the UK did not appear in the top 5 list on solar. Many people know we were really grateful for all the rain and the clouds in our country, but we do have solar. I would just like to say we've got currently only 14 gigawatts of solar capacity in the UK, which is split between large-scale solar and on roofs. And as every nation around the world is facing the terrible war in Ukraine, the increased demand for the use of gas to displace coal, we've seen the whole energy crisis spiral out of a significant status. In one way, this is very, very sad and depressing because people are struggling, even in wealthy nations like the UK, to pay their energy bills. This is a monumental, almost like a starter gun to re-energize our delivery of renewable energy, the cheapest form of energy that we can now declare to help people in their homes and in those 775 million homes across the world that need power today. So because the cost of solar has come down, but as we look forward, it isn't just about solar. I totally agree. The REA represents not just solar, but all other forms of bioenergy, energy storage, and electric vehicle charging infrastructure. We've known in the REA in the 21 years that we've been in existence that there is no one single solution to deliver a renewable energy future. It is very much a connected system, and it's also a local system. You need a national policy, a national will, but then you must understand a nation's current status of what they particularly need. And in the REA, and I hope you will feel from the UK, we don't want to come in with big boots and dictate what is the right way to do it. We want to learn, because we have some global leaders here, also of how to deliver the solutions that are fit for this future beyond 2050 and net zero. So we are adept, though, in the UK of markets, helping people to make the right choices by dealing with them economically. They are rewarded for making the right decisions. We see solar and other forms of renewable what I would call the democratization of energy. People making choices in almost in that respect become a prosumer if that is the right solution for them. We're also very good at bringing together technology and business models which work at large scale right down to local. So ultimately, I will finish my initial preliminary introduction and say, you know, as an island nation surrounded by water, you know, we have got to absolutely aggressively explore all the renewable opportunities. We're 7th for wind, and we've got a lot to share around wind, but we also have to take advantage of everything that the natural solutions can provide. We have not yet explored tidal. We have not yet explored deep geothermal, which may be appropriate in other of our Commonwealth nations. And we have not yet explored how to really tap into decarbonising transport completely with sustainable bioenergy sources. So there's so many answers yet to go out, but we also have so many answers for the solutions for some of the nations that really are starting on their journey. Thank you.
Whenever Dr. Ajay Mathur is available, please let us know. If he's available right now, we can have him, or later. So let me know as and when he is available. So as much as I would be tempted to call my friend and illustrious Dr. Karthika Sarabhai, but you know, in India, we host always each last. So I would like to invite Mete from Solar Power Europe to please say a few words.
Thank you very much, Chairman Mehta. Thank you also to the ISA for inviting me to speak at this event. Thank you for your kind introductory words. Let me also introduce myself and the organizations that I'm representing here today. So Mate Heiss, I'm Director of Global Affairs at Solar Power Europe. And so Solar Power Europe is the association that represents the solar industry in Europe. We are a member-led association and a federation at the same time. So it is under our umbrella that the national associations, solar industry associations, and to some extent renewable energy associations of Europe advocate in order to have more solar and to make solar the leading source of energy of the future. But we also have around 300 corporate members. So we have really the weight of the industry behind us. We advocate for solar in Europe. We work a lot with the European institutions. That's why we are based in Brussels, but we are also very active on the global stage. And in my role as Director of Global Affairs, that's my role to represent Solar Power Europe in events like this today. I've traveled to India several times in the past couple of months to meet with Chairman Mehta and his CEO, Subbu. We have a very close cooperation with the Indian Association, NSCFI. Now, I also represent, as you mentioned, Pranav, the Global Solar Council. The Global Solar Council is the organization that represents the solar industry on the global level, with members like Solar Power Europe, like NSCFI, and also other national and regional associations from around the world. And I think I will stop the introductory part now and maybe transition to the role of solar, the role of Commonwealth, and the role of cooperation in addressing the needs of the most vulnerable Commonwealth members, but not only Commonwealth members, but also all LDCs and SIDS. So I think that associations and leading associations like NSCFI, REA, Solar Power Europe, and the Global Solar Council do have to play an important role in supporting these nations and poor people in these countries in accessing energy. And what is very clear is that solar solar energy will play a key role, if not the most important role of all technologies in addressing the needs of vulnerable people and people without energy access in LDCs and SIDS. And why is that? That's for multiple reasons. Not only because solar energy has become by far the cheapest source of energy today, but also because solar energy is extremely versatile. It is easy to deploy, very easy to use. There are multiple applications for every possible scenario. And last but not least, the thing I want to mention is that solar energy and solar installations also create a lot of jobs and a lot of economic and socio-economic value. And so indeed, there are different types of applications that countries that are in the focus of today's event can benefit from. And so the different segments that we usually look at and we usually differentiate between are utility scale, then C&I, so commercial and industrial, which is for the needs of businesses and are usually rooftop installations, and then small scale, and in particular, when it comes to African countries, LDCs and SIDS, small island developing nations, off-grid applications and solar home systems. And so this also shows the versatility of solar energy and how can we help these countries? And it is said very often that money is the most important thing to address these energy needs and to deploy solar energy and other types of energy, of course. And I agree that money is very important, if not the most important thing, but there is another thing that is almost as important or maybe even equally important, and that will help us to tap into that money and help us to use the money efficiently and use the available money in the first place at all. And that is good, stable, predictable regulatory framework, good policies. And that's what we as Solar Power Europe and our partners like NSCFI, REA work on in Europe. Obviously, our focus is Europe, but when we work with NSCFI, when we work with other partner associations from Africa, for example, or Latin America, we share experience and work together on local policies, for example. So working together with associations on policies and advocating for better regulatory framework is one of our major activities in when it comes to international cooperation. And taking this one step forward is cooperation between associations, and fostering cooperation between renewable energy industry associations around the world is very important. And this is one of my recommendations or messages to ISA and the Corporate Advisory Council, that supporting local associations, especially in countries where there isn't any strong industry representation, should be prioritized. Why? Obviously, because it is these associations that can help to deliver the messages of the industry and help to shape effective and efficient policy frameworks. And apart from that, obviously, when it comes to international development agencies and international financial institutions' role, support instruments have to be designed in consultation with the industry and in a way that is effective. So today we see a very high level of fragmentation when it comes to support instruments and financial instruments helping to develop solar energy projects, but also other renewable energy projects. And we've already introduced several recommendations and position papers with suggestions, for example, to the European Commission, but also other international organizations on how to harmonize the existing instrumentarium. And the bottom line, in our opinion, is that instruments have to be comprehensive and accompany projects along the whole project development chain. So instruments would have to include at the same time policy advice, capacity building, pipeline development, and financing, etc. This is not the case today. Capacity building for local associations and local private sector is also really important. That's something we work on in India, for example, but that's something also we do in Africa. And I think that associations like NSCFI taking a more active role in strengthening and supporting African associations is a really good sign. This is very much in line with the concept of triangular cooperation, and South-South cooperation. We as Solo support this approach very much. And maybe to share a last piece of advice or a last thought on the corporate advisory group that has been launched by the ISA. So I think this is a really good initiative, and I think that this group or this platform is already half a success if the ISA manages to make sure that the members of the ISA, policymakers from members of the ISA, are able to listen to these to the recommendations of this group, and that the voice of the industry is heard through this group. So thank you.
Before I give dessert in terms of Kartikeya Sarabhai, I would be failing in my duty if I did not thank Shishir, who is the strength of ISA, and he has backed up this program on behalf of Ajay Mathur in a big way. And also Philip, don't go away, Philip, don't go away. Philip of ISA, all our senior people helping us, Mr. Praful, also one of them. So please say hello to everybody. So they are the pillars of ISA, with whom we work, and we trouble each other at night also. So I thank again ISA, and now request Kartikeya to say a few words.
Thank you, Pranavji, and the organizations and the wonderful panel that you have here today. I wanted to share the fact that I'm incidentally from the Center for Environment Education in India. It was a center set up in '84 as a center of excellence by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, recognizing the fact that education has to play a major role in the transformation of society. That is, along with passing the right laws, along with bringing new technology, along with giving financial incentives, if you didn't really have education as a pillar of that strategy is not going to work. I want to just talk about first just an incident from our great epic, the Mahabharata. You have this situation, there's a war between two feuding families, and they both approach Lord Krishna for help. And he doesn't want to disappoint anyone. So he says, I can either just give you advice, or I can give my entire army. So the good side, which finally wins, doesn't hesitate a bit. He says, no, I want your advice. The other person says, what a foolish choice. You won the toss, but you got the wrong choice, and takes the whole army. The point here was, the point of the Mahabharata there is that learning and education outweighs hardware. That if you think that you are helping the Commonwealth or helping the vulnerable nations just by giving hardware, I'm not saying you don't have to have either or. That's not it. It needs to go along with capacity building and training. And both of my previous speakers spoke about this just now. I mean, you spoke about training and capacity building, and Nina spoke about how one brings together the businesses and how you get the businesses to understand these issues. So in our program, one wonders, why are we talking about Commonwealth countries? I mean, you could well be talking about other groups, vulnerable groups, small island groups, many others. What is so special about Commonwealth? And the one thing which is common is, of course, that we were all part at one stage of the British Empire. And as a result, English, a language of communication, is something which connects these countries very easily. Also, you will find, surprisingly, the amount of things in their own bureaucracies, in their legal systems and others, which are really common. And we should say that when we are discussing taking these ideas to the Commonwealth countries, that is in fact an advantage in that group. And that is what we did. We had a program supported by the Commonwealth Secretariat. For several years, people used to come over for 8 or 9 months to get a program and go back on sustainability. And once I was in UNEP in Nairobi, and we were all waiting for this high official to come from the Ministry of Environment there. And we were all, and this person comes in, I didn't recognize him at first. And he said, don't you know I came to your program and I spent 9 months at your center. But that is the connect which we have. And we are glad to have our Joint Secretary here today, Mr. Bora, that India has such an enormous amount of its own capacity to share, whether it is an entrepreneur development program to get people to start solar, whether it's a technical program, whether it's a program for schools and children, whether it's a university program. I think this is something which I think we really need to do. It's a low-hanging fruit. It can easily be done. The hardware and the other expertise will follow. But unless you have local capacity which you build up, you cannot only do it from outside. I think that's not the correct method. We also need to go to decision makers in these countries. The other point I wanted to make was something about, again, reaching out to developing countries, the model you take. We've understood that you need to leapfrog to technologies which are the most modern, which have the best indicators. But often you find that poorer countries end up getting technologies which are already outdated. They might be cheaper. There might be some countries which are passing on their old technologies and getting the new ones. Instead of saying that it is almost an advantage that if I'm putting in a technology today, I have the advantage of not having all the old technologies around, and I can leapfrog to the newest. India, for instance, does have coal as a very major backbone of its economy, and it will slowly ease. But the thrust it is putting on other technologies, solar and others, is enormous. But it does recognize that you have this dual thing of development and conservation to be balanced, and how do you best do it? But that act of balancing is something we can really share. The developing countries can share with other developing countries compared to countries which don't have that. I think Nina mentioned about energy and everyone needing energy. And I'm reminded of something which Gandhi spoke about, which was that there's enough for everyone's need, but not for anyone's greed. And I think what we need to talk about is, of course, everyone should have the same access to energy, but nobody needs to have access, or nobody has to have the right to waste energy. And I think if we actually were not to waste energy and take on modern things, and when I talk about leapfrogging, it means when you build a new building today, you shouldn't build it. We have buildings coming up in my city of Ahmedabad, look very modern, they're completely glass, not a single window opens, some of them. And it's a wrong choice. It was a choice, okay, it was a hothouse somewhere in Europe, was perhaps a good one, but it's not a good place to do that in India. The other issue is, of course, that many of these countries need to decentralize. Germany is doing it now with things, India has started doing it. But so the model which we are imitating has changed. And we need to take on a model which is relevant to developing countries, which again is an experience which we can share and developing countries can share here. And then, of course, there is a whole issue of climate justice and others. It's already been mentioned. Pranav Bhai, when he spoke in the beginning, talk about, let us talk per capita. Populations are growing, but per capita, every human being needs a certain amount of electricity, and we do need to get there. So again, just thanking you for this opportunity, but stressing again that we need to really reach out in the Commonwealth countries. We have an advantage of language. We have an advantage of a certain common administrative and legal systems, and using those advantages, really see how we build capacity, we train people, and we get the political system to understand why you need to go to renewables. Thank you very much.
Very correctly emphasized education by Kartikeya Sarabhai. And I must recall that India had a great tradition of education and knowledge through Guru Shishya Parampara, but it was somewhere going in oblivion because of the great invasions in India. But it was Lord Macaulay who ultimately brought the new system of education and opened the door for us through the English language. I have never suffered anywhere in the world because I knew English language. Whether I went to Europe, whether I went to America, or whether I went to Australia, anywhere. So we must, some of the great things that British have contributed to India, of course, the great Indian railways, also in a big way. So having said that, you see, these days we don't have only one dessert, that is just ice cream. We always have cake, we always have rasagulla or gulab jamun. So we have that, and that is the last point that Kartikeya mentioned was government should be convinced. And we have Mr. Lalit Vora representing the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. I would like to hear from him. And with only this remark, that in India we have always worked hand in hand, joint, and that is how we have achieved the targets which Mr. Modi announced in the world. And everywhere India is quoted as an example.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta and ISA for organizing this event and giving me an opportunity. As we all know, that Commonwealth countries are having about 1/4 of the land mass, and we are having 1/3 of the population. So when Commonwealth countries speak and speak in one language, then it is being listened everywhere. I will just start with the journey of solar in India. And we all know that India has set a big target in last COP. The India set a target of 500 gigawatt from renewable energy capacity installations. The 50% of the electricity need from the renewable side. We promised to reduce the carbon emission by 1 billion ton by 2030. And we said that we will be net zero by 2070. You see, India or most of the Commonwealth countries are right now using the per capita electricity, which is much below the global average. And in spite of that, going for a net zero, because we are struggling to fulfill the SDG 7 requirement, which says that the accessibility of electricity should be to everybody. And going for a net zero was a big step. And when it comes to SDG 7, the solar has been an important pillar for India to provide the accessibility to all its villages, and which has been appreciated by all the players, because solar is something which is available everywhere. And with the reverse bidding kind of things which India started, we got a price of 2.5 cent per unit. That is 2.5 cent per kilowatt hours, as electricity, which was much more affordable than any other form of the electricity. It was part of our culture. If you look at our lifestyle, we always say that you should get up with Suryodaya and you should try to sleep when it's sunset. So you use the solar energy for fulfilling your normal requirement. Apart from that, the principle which was given was the one solar, one grid. And the India so far has added about more than 170 gigawatt of non-fossil energy in their system. And that was possible because of a strong grid which we have, and that grid could take so much renewable. Because of this grid and the consistent effort, especially by solar and the wind side, the solar night right now in India is about 62 gigawatt. And the project of about equal 70 gigawatts are in the pipeline. When it comes to wind, it's about 42 gigawatt projects are already implemented and another 12 to 15 gigawatts are in the pipeline. So it's a smooth journey towards the 500 gigawatt, which we have been planning. And to ensure that we have a sufficient supply of the solar panels, the government came out with the productivity linked incentives, where the industries were encouraged to set up the solar manufacturing plant, starting from the wafer manufacturing to the module, so that the availability of the solar panel, which was affected during COVID-19 and the subsequent political problems in the world, should not affect the journey of India towards the renewable. As Dr. Mehta has said, that we will need coal because it has somewhere has to provide the base load. The battery is being used. Again, there are an issue with the batteries, and that battery technology need to be shared by everyone with everyone, because the global warming is now not an issue of a one country. It's a global problem. So, like one of the speaker has talked about the technology part. Again, like now, if any country gets any technology, the technology need to be shared with each and every country of the world. If it is not done, then I really doubt we will be able to overcome the global warming problem. When it comes to capacity building, it is again a very important topic which has been raised by Matt and Dr. Sarabhai. There's a program which ISA is doing along with the National Institute of Solar Energy, whereby the people from the LDCs and SIDs are being trained on the solar side. Apart from that, there is a Surya Mitra program which is being run by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy along with the National Institute of Solar Energy, whereby so far 55,000 people have been trained on how to use the solar side, how to maintain it, because with growing demand of solar, we will need an equal number of manpower at all the level. The IIT Bombay, the premier institutes of India, has been given a job to prepare the syllabus so that we get a PhD scholars, we got the postgraduate scholars to undertake these solar challenges. For maintenance purpose, the Surya Mitra program is coming in handy, where we got a technical people who go in the field, install the solar panel, do the O&M activities on those panels. So we will be more than happy to associate with ISA to further these programs into those countries where the capacity building is needed. At the end, I will say what Meena has said, that there is no right way. We have to use all the way to reach the net zero. If we have to work together, be it solar, be it wind, be it upgrade, be it battery, pumped hydro, whatever it is there, it is high time that we all reach towards that. And at the end, I'll say I look forward to the deliberation here. And being a government representative, I will certainly like to take forward few things which we can, and we can help in implementing in our program. Thank you, everyone.
In some of these international forums, I always say that as much as India and some of the countries have no, go, but to go for coal, including China. But Europe also, I always debate Europe and America, they cannot do without natural gas. And natural gas is a fossil fuel. You can't say that it is a clean fuel. So whenever somebody propounds that, I said, you are using natural gas. You can't do without. So it is a big conundrum from which we have to come out. And let us make sure that these Commonwealth countries, we tell them not to fall into this conundrum and go for solar, biomass, waste to energy, and all these technologies are today available abundantly. And some of my friends in America told me that you give me any waste and I will convert into energy. I will convert into hydrogen. So this green hydrogen in a big way we have to promote, and all the world is has awakened to green hydrogen, including India. And I'm sure that that will be one of the great solutions which will help renewable energy, and hand in hand they can really grow. We all have to focus on that for Commonwealth proliferation of clean energy. So if there are no other online, may I ask Shishir, anything further or we close? Still come. So there is, and if there are any questions, we will be very happy to answer. Hello, backside. Hello. Please, if there are any questions, Philip, we all would like to hear. And otherwise, the session comes to close, and only with the remark that it is not only REA and NSFAI and ISA, but also we have from Rwanda, we have from Sierra Leone, and many other Kenya, African countries who have backed today's program. And they are supposed to be online, but maybe because of some problem of linkage, they are not there. And also Germany, David was to be here, our colleague, as Mete knows. So it's okay. If there are any questions, yeah, please, George.
Hi, first of all, thanks for all the panel participants giving the very great introduction. I guess this is more like a discussion than a question, because from all of your presentation, I realize, solar and all renewable resources are definitely what we rely on for a more secure future. But in the developing region specifically, what do you guys think are the other technology to support solar to make sure the energy production is stable and dispatchable to fit our grid resilience and the consumption needs better? Thank you.
I will be glad to answer this question. In IRENA, we have a special group that how to achieve 100% renewable energy by 2050. And all studies, including Stanford University, Tony Seba, all of us are involved in that, especially my NSTFI. And it is our prediction that 69% of energy will be solar. So solar is so prevalent, so proliferating, so available everywhere. About 15% will be wind. I'm talking of the world scenario. And 15% remaining will be biomass, waste to energy, hydrogen, and others. And at the highest level of hydrogen, also it is predicted that it will be somewhere between 12 to 15%. But it will be a good Ali, good friend of renewable energy. I'm telling you the 2050 scenario.
I can just add a very short comment. In short, agree with you. Solar will be the most important source of energy in the 100% scenario. And longer, to put it a bit longer, at Solar Power Europe, a couple of years ago, we published a study called 100% Renewable Europe. It can be downloaded from our website. And actually, we are just working on an update. But this study showed that 100% renewable scenario without nuclear and without any fossil fuels, obviously, needless to say, is possible by 2050, and in an ambitious scenario, even by 2040. And obviously, you know, we will have to rely on a combination of different sources of energy and storage, and to some extent hydrogen as well.
So, thank you for that question, George. I think the area that people get mixed up in sometimes is thinking that renewable energy is just renewable power. What we have to really focus on is the fact that when we talk about energy, we not only need to talk about how it's produced, but how it is end use of. So depending on the different nations' requirements, if they have their own indigenous hydro, or their own indigenous, as I mentioned, deep geothermal, or they can make better advantage of other resources like bioenergy that is sustainable, then these are all ways of supporting the variable nature of solar, as well as the very popular and very sexy energy storage and EV charging. But the big challenge for me is around how do we really move electrification of heat and cooling, and then also start to put even more energy in decarbonizing transport. I think the challenge will always be with a government and trying to manage it at national, local and individual level is about choice, economics, and how it fits the future. Some people are already saying we should use hydrogen in people's homes. Maybe net zero hydrogen, as I call it, rather than green, should be focused on displacing the use of fossil hydrogen first, like in fertilizers. And then it goes into industry, and then it goes into heavy goods transport. And then ultimately, as the technology is available, aviation. And then it's used as resource for ammonia for tackling marine. I always think that now we need to look at hubs of how we bring the right renewable energy resources to deliver solutions, outcome orientated rather than technology orientated.
I just wanted to endorse what was just said, that when we talk about energy, I think right from very children, we need to see the production and the use. I think to only talk about producing more and people can use what they like is really the wrong way of even looking at energy. And I think our Prime Minister has constantly been talking about sustainable lifestyles. He in fact starts the other way. He starts with use and then talks about supply rather than talks about more and more supply. The same thing goes with technology driven. We have such an obsession. I mean, I think something like, and John Secretary will agree, 90% of chilies in India are dried by the sun. But they are dried by putting a piece of cloth and the chilies on it and let the sun directly dry them. But we don't count them in solar energy. But if you had a machine there, then you would say, solar energy. Now someone talked about daylight saving time. So I think we must understand that don't look at energy only from a technological, production-oriented, business-oriented way of looking at it, but look at it holistically, which includes consumption, includes directly lives. In a way, you make buildings, you can have a huge difference between how much solar light comes in or does not, and therefore how much the consumption goes up or down. As an individual, you don't necessarily have the choices. If you go to a five-star hotel where your seminar is and you see that it's being used, there's nothing other than a comment you can make. So I think people need to see energy holistically. And I think the whole ability to decentralize this production and use is also tremendous. The new technologies are coming up. And rooftop solar, for instance, in India and other. And I think that's the way to go. So I think change the way people look upon energy.
Which in COP27? This one. Yeah. So what are they talking about? This is basically a corporate council advisory group they have created.
So, simply put in one sentence,
and corporate
solar is not just electricity.
will help the solar. In
Solar is
countries.
many things.
Basically, we have
Not
joined
only
hand with
dyeing
Commonwealth
chilies, of course,
Secretariat,
is very much there.
to
Textile
56
dye.
countries of
And
Commonwealth
also vitamin D
helps ISA in the
is a great source of supply if we take it in the morning and people die to take that solar at where it is not available. In India, we have plenty of it available. So it is solar in one sentence is not just electricity. Many. Now we have, I am very happy to represent the Director General of ISA, Mr. Joshua, present here, and you would like to hear him on this occasion. He knows the subject very well.
Thank you, Chairman. It's such an immense pleasure to be here. My name is Joshua Wycliffe. I represent the International Solar Alliance as the Chief Operating Officer. On behalf of the Director General and the International Solar Alliance, I thank you all for being here today and being able to discuss this all-important role that corporate advisory can play in private sector. My apologies, I arrived late, so I couldn't listen to a lot of the panelists' comments. But the position the International Solar Alliance is taking is to be able to work with private sector as corporate advisory groups and make an impact. With 56 nations under the Commonwealth, ISA's support to the Commonwealth will make a big impact in terms of how private sector. One of the key things ISA is aware and recognizes the fact is the level of awareness towards solar energy and the mitigation it can provide is increasing. But however, the level of awareness we'd like to increase needs to be increased, and it needed to speed up. So tools like an advisory group play a key role in being able to draw attention of the private sector. And one other area that we would like to make in the corporate advisory group is to be able to provide the support in regulatory areas as well. For example, if you talk about decentralization of grids into smaller communities, so private sector, it can be made attractive for private sector. Corporate advisory groups play a role in being able to bring them all up together. So with those words, I want to thank you all for being here this morning. It is our pleasure to host you today for this major event. And thank you again. Thanks a lot.
Ok, merci. Je m'excuse. Ok, sorry. Ok, merci beaucoup. Je m'excuse de pouvoir. J'ai beaucoup aimé lorsque monsieur a parlé de voir le soleil de manière globale. Je disais que j'ai beaucoup aimé l'approche de voir l'énergie solaire de manière durable, globale et totale. Mais je voudrais poser deux questions parce que par rapport au point de vue de l'Alliance solaire au niveau international, quelle est votre relation avec le monde universitaire, le monde de la production de connaissances scientifiques par rapport à cela? Deuxième question, c'est que de plus en plus il est connu qu'il y a aussi dans les problématiques de l'énergie solaire la problématique de la conservation de l'énergie. Madame a parlé du transport de l'énergie. Je voudrais parler de la conservation, notamment l'industrie des batteries. Et aujourd'hui, il est prouvé qu'à peu près 90% des matières premières qui entrent dans la fabrication de l'énergie, des batteries, notamment cobalt, lithium, ainsi de suite, sont en Afrique et surtout en République démocratique du Congo, dont je suis originaire. Je voudrais savoir quelles sont vos relations au niveau de l'Alliance solaire internationale avec le prochain projet au niveau de l'investissement dans la production de batteries, surtout avec la République démocratique du Congo. Merci beaucoup.
I am very happy that Congo has expressed its views, and that was the idea of involving the Commonwealth countries, dialogue with those countries through Commonwealth Secretariat and all of us together, so that the right kind of solution for the given country, for the even within the country, various regions, which we are going to discuss later in the afternoon in the REA event, what will to be done. But I'm very happy for the fact that Congo physically is present. And thank you very much for and you rightly talked about the mobility sector. You rightly talked about the battery storage, which can give us 24/7 this clean energy. I have, later Dr. Rashi Gupta, who is in a small way doing 24/7 through batteries. Of course, not, and the big ones are also there, but the small solutions are also there 24/7 through battery, which also undergoing various technologies, lithium ion, also sodium, and many others. So thank you, Congo, for being physically present. So, Shishir, is there anything further? So with that, I think we should all pat ourselves on the back that we are right in time, that we wanted to close at 11, and I think it is nearly 11 a.m. and we are closing in time. So thank you very much, all of you. Danke schön.
Thank you. Do you have any more events? Yeah.